People paying money to see me in a 20 by 20 ring.
Welcome again, wrestling fans, and thank you for joining us for another edition of the 20 by 20 Ring Crew. I am your host for the evening, alongside, as always, the big man himself, Joe.
Hey, yo.
And we are post-WrestleMania weekend. I had to throw the whole weekend in there so we know that this is not just a WrestleMania episode. We're going to talk everything that we saw last weekend or this past weekend for WrestleMania weekend. It was so action packed that we haven't gotten around to watching everything yet.
You know what? And I dare someone to come out and tell me they watched everything, especially everything that was available through streaming this year.
It's crazy how much is there.
I want to say if I had to guess, obviously double digits in the terms of hours, but it's got to be like close to 20 or 30 hours of programming.
Yeah, you're talking a whole day's, more than a day's worth.
Yeah,
I tell you what, if anybody says that this weekend was crap and you had nothing to watch,
you're fucking lying. You're full of shit.
I don't know why you're listening to a wrestling podcast, because obviously you don't like wrestling, though we do encourage you to continue to listen anyway. Yeah, you know, there was so much going on. There's so much I still haven't watched, and such a great time for wrestling fans. And we mentioned this in our WrestleMania hype episode, that this was one of those weekends where if you are trying to get into wrestling or you're trying to get back into wrestling and you want to broaden your horizons a little bit more than the WWE, this was the perfect weekend to do it, because everybody was putting on a show. Everybody that was anybody, and keep in mind, there's still a ton of great promotions that didn't participate this weekend. For a good chunk of what's out there, they definitely put themselves out there to put on a show, and it was show after show after show after show. Unbelievable weekend. I definitely applaud everybody that participated that past weekend.
Absolutely. I think the biggest independent presence out there, minus the Ring of Honor, obviously, was the WWN. I mean, all the shows that fell under their banner, that was a lot of fucking programming, a lot of streams. They definitely came out and represented. Also, probably the most eclectic mix of stuff.
Without a doubt, yeah.
For sure. And again, if you were striving to find something, either getting you back into watching wrestling or you're bored and wanted to try something new, this was the weekend to do it. And I'm not saying that opportunity is over.
No,
You can still find those streams available in certain places, but for more information on that, just hit up our WrestleMania episodes on those web pages for each of those respective episodes. There's all the information you need. So
yeah, as far as the WWN, I mean, once it gets released, it's out there forever. Whether it's via the website, whether it's via Fight TV, who they're affiliated with. Yeah, I made the purchase. I bought the big purchase where I bought all 9 shows.
9 shows.
9 shows. I mean, each one is at least 2 hours long, if not longer. And I got through 3.5. I did both Evolve shows. I did the WWN Super Show, Mercury Rising, and I did about half of the Matt Riddle Bloodsport. I mean, just think about it. You have Evolve, which is a quick, very fast-paced, growing indie promotion in itself. You have the WWN Super Show, which is kind of like a combination of everything that WWN puts together. And then you have this Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, which is knockout, tap-out event, which is extremely unique. But then the other stuff that you get with that package, you got Shimmer 100, which is all-female wrestling. You got help me with the name here. I'm forgetting, drawing a blank, but the men versus women.
Oh, Beyond Wrestling.
Beyond Wrestling. There you go. Beyond Wrestling was on there, and I made a promise to your wife that I was going to mention this. You got Kaiju Big Battle, which
for those of you who are not familiar, Kaiju wrestling is essentially wrestling with mascots and or giant foam monsters. So again, if you were looking for something different or something new to watch and you've never experienced any of the things we just talked about, all that information can be found over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/WrestleMania. All the information is still up there for all the streams. I don't know what exactly Fight TV is still offering, whether it's, I don't know if they're still offering the whole package deal or just individual, but they're all available on Fight TV, the ones we just talked about. So,
and then once you get them, they're yours to keep.
It's a unlimited replay.
That's why when we're talking to you right now, I have no concern about not getting through them.
Yeah, eventually we'll get around and watch them all for sure.
I'll get to them all, and it didn't stop there. I mean, Impact Wrestling did a super show with Lucha Underground. You had the 40th episode or 40th edition of
House of Hardcore,
where they crowned the new champion. I mean, it's just everything about that week, and I was extremely jealous of anybody that got a chance to be out there in New Orleans, because it was a wrestling fan's paradise, and it's something that I hope to be a part of, whether it be next year or in future years. But again, this is the perfect time to support wrestling right here. You have so many different entities that are at your fingertips. I mean, I love the world that we live in now, where everybody's using the internet and how fast-paced everything is now as far as getting it out there. It's great to promote it. Nobody has to be, you can be a small-time industry, but you don't have to be small-time in how you do business. You can reach out to the masses.
That's a very good point.
And you know what? You and I are doing it right now.
Yes, we are.
It's the world that we live in, and it's just, I love, you know, you and I just talked about it a few hours before the show. One of my upcoming personal favorites, indie promotions, PCW Ultra, is, I just found out that they're affiliated with Amazon Prime.
That's right, folks, and we have that information for you too. If you head on over to 20x20crew.com/podcast/Amazon, go pick yourself up a Prime membership. Even if it's just a trial, you can cancel right away, but we're telling you, hey, take advantage of those 30 free days. Go watch you some free PCW Ultra shows.
And you want to know how legit this company is? The Great Muta himself, last match in the United States
was for PCW Ultra.
That's huge. You know, any legit, like, old school wrestling fan will tell you, hey, maybe we should check these out. That's how I got into it. I was like, I didn't know anything about it, and I saw him on the show, and I was like, I'm gonna watch the show. And now I'm telling you about it. Like, hey, watch the show. I ended up buying that pay-per-view, and yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. Again, great time for wrestling. Anything stand out to you? What was your top match that you saw, that you got to see?
Over the weekend?
Over the weekend.
You know what? Both Matt and I attended C2E2, which is a gigantic comic book and entertainment expo here in Chicago. So during the day, we were pretty much booked, but our nights were booked with wrestling and other stuff. So like, we had a pretty busy weekend. But him and I made sure we sat down and watched at least the last half of Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, because we found out that Minoru Suzuki ended up being a last-minute replacement.
For Low Ki.
Yep. Apparently Low Ki either didn't want to do business or was legitimately injured. At least that's what they said on the broadcast.
The commentators were very skeptical on his injury.
Yeah, they didn't know whether he just chickened out or he was legitimately hurt, but they said something to do with his neck was the issue. Either way, quite honestly, I'm glad it went that way, because I would...
It's a win-win.
Don't get me wrong, you know, I don't mind watching me some Low Ki, but if I can have Minoru Suzuki just show up here in the States and do a spot, no matter what he's doing, hell yeah, let's do it. And so we got to see Minoru Suzuki go one-on-one against Matt Riddle in a tap-out knockout match, and I gotta tell you, it was everything you wanted it to be. It was phenomenal. That was by far one of the many highlights over the weekend. Again, I was telling you earlier before we started recording, I got reintroduced to kaiju wrestling and just how crazy and ridiculous that is. I love every bit of it. It's great. I love the way the commentators progress the story as you're watching it, which is something a little bit different compared to, you know, sports entertainment and just pro wrestling in general. Yeah, it was a a fucking awesome weekend. And we sat through WrestleMania. You and I watched WrestleMania with Mr. Wrestling 6 in tow. So, there was a lot of stuff being watched, a lot of stuff going on. I am yet to watch both of the Evolve events all the way through. I watched some of it with you, and I watched bits and pieces here and there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything I wanted to see in wrestling happened that weekend. So, again, for people that sit there and say they didn't have much to watch, man, you're missing out on a whole bunch of shit.
You don't know what to look for then, I guess. It's all right there. For me, it stays with Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle versus Zack Sabre Jr. at Evolve 102 was my highlight of the weekend. That was something that I didn't know that they were going to do so early. They hyped it up at Evolve 100 back in March. I thought we were going to sit on this for a little bit longer, and they went ahead and did it. And it makes sense of why they did it this weekend. It totally does with everything that we're talking about. And Matt Riddle was obviously a busy man this past weekend. He put on a hell of a show with Zack Sabre Jr. This was the third time that these two have been at it together. Little fun fact, you don't see this very often in not this was a series per se, keeping score, but in this type of, this is the rubber match, if you will. Both had ended previously by submission, and it was like, okay, well, who's going to get over this time? And then now we got a title on the line as well, so man, those two had such great chemistry in the ring. It was bittersweet for me, the results. I don't know if it's okay if I spoil it for you or not.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Spoiler alert. Not the best weekend for Zack Sabre Jr. He loses both of his singles titles this past over the WrestleMania weekend. He's still tag champion with Suzuki in RPW, but Matt Riddle Evolve champion, and just he's been riding with that company for quite some time. He was when Johnny Gargano left, Mr. Wrestling, Johnny freaking Wrestling.
Yeah, Johnny Wrestling.
Yeah, he was all about Matt Riddle because he left around the time Matt Riddle was starting to get hot, and he said he told him this is gonna be the future of this company one day, and sure enough he is. And I don't know, I'm not saying Zack Sabre Jr. is done with Evolve, but I think he's done everything he could for that company, and trust me, it's a lot. It was a great time, great moment for him to pass the torch, and I love how they do the Evolve Championship. I don't know if you know this, but when the Evolve champion loses, but whether you're face or a heel, it is tradition to take that title and personally hand it to the new champion. Something you don't see really in any promotion.
Yeah, that's a rarity.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool. It's just for the Evolve title. I don't think they do it for the tag titles. For the Evolve title, because it's you're the face of the company now, and for Sabre to do that, it was really cool. I'm glad that they did it that way. And Matt Riddle had a great title defense at the WWE Super Show against Will Ospreay. Yeah, I can't speak enough on Evolve. Like, you're gonna hear me a lot talk about it on the show. Evolve Wrestling for me is what Ring of Honor was for so many in 2002 and 2003. It was, you gotta watch this stuff because this is the future of wrestling right here. And I'm not saying Ring of Honor is bad by any means, because that's still one of my favorite promotions. It's an established promotion now. I mean, they got their own streaming service now for all intents and purposes.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, because there's something I got to say about that. But yeah, I mean, Evolve Wrestling, do yourself a favor, check them out. Every time they do a show, if you don't believe me, check them out. They do free Facebook matches. Every single show they do, at least the first 2 matches are free, and they don't just put scrubs out there. It's legit guys that are going at it. They're really trying to sell their product. So
yeah, there's no pre-show. You essentially get the first 2 matches of whatever card they're doing for free through Facebook. So
yeah, I mean you can't beat free, so just check it out. I mean, it's really good wrestling. I'm looking forward to the future for that company, and I'm hoping for more events. I mean, they do 2 shows a month. I would like to see a little bit more in the future, but again, we're barely 100 shows in, so give them time. Because they're going to take off.
Definitely. Over the weekend, you got to see Evolve 102 and 103. For more information on Evolve Wrestling, you can catch all of that over with us through 20x20crew.com/podcast/evolve. Getting back to Ring of Honor here for a second. You and I, we've been talking Bullet Club here and there.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's not. I know it's not some of our favorite stuff going on right now.
No.
I still, I'm still keeping tabs on the storyline, whether it be through a YouTube visit here or there, or actually watching the product. But you had the culmination of what was supposed to be the end of this big infighting session between the guys. It was supposed to culminate here at Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor. Essentially, it was Cody versus Kenny Omega. They were supposed to duel it out, and this was supposed to be a one and done thing. Obviously, that's not the case, and there's some more infighting about to happen, or separation, however you want to look at it. But I couldn't help but for that to be one of my highlights over the weekend. It definitely kept me interested. But what I didn't like, and a lot of people didn't like, was Ring of Honor's Honor Club just destroying and breaking the internet.
The internet broke it.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't familiar with what went on, Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor was being shown through their Honor Club, but it was available to basically not just Honor Club members, but also the lower tier membership, which was what, $9.99 a month.
You have 3 different tiers, and the only people that get the pay-per-views for free or are included in their package are the people that paid for the whole year. Everybody else, if you paid for the $9.99, you get everything else, but you only get I don't want to say only, you get a discount to the pay-per-views, but you don't get it for free. Supercard of Honor was the exception.
Yeah, so you got to watch Supercard of Honor for free as a special treat if you signed up for any one of those tiers. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it was also being broadcast through Fight TV.
Through Fight TV and as well as regular pay-per-view.
Yes, and regular pay-per-view. So you have all those different streaming avenues to watch the card, and guess what? Down goes the website, down goes all the feeds. No one could watch this fucking show. No matter how hard you try. And believe me, if you were one of the very few that got to witness more than the last 3 matches or 3 segments,
yeah,
congratulations, because everybody else had to fucking wait until the replay. And even then, there was still a lot of problems.
There's tons of problems that night, yeah.
So what they're saying, the official statement is, there was a bug in one of the servers. So their official statement on why they had such a hard time with the stream was apparently there was a problem, like a bug of some sort in the servers, or in a server, and it caused the crashing of the stream. If you're not familiar and you are an Honor Club member, there's actually a $40 gift certificate that they're giving you if you use a certain promo code. We'll throw that up on the website. I believe it's good through the end of May, if I'm not mistaken. So you're getting $40 to spend on whatever the hell you want, whether it be merch or DVDs or pay-per-views, in turn for this this bad situation happen. Is that you, as an Honor Club member here, Matt? Is that a good enough payoff for you? Like, hey, we fucked up. Here's $40, or does it still piss you off to the point where $40 isn't just going to do it for you?
You know, I'll definitely take it. That's for sure. Does it make up for what it did on Saturday night, April 7th? No, it doesn't. It's a good offer. It's a good offer for their fuck up, but I'll tell you what, it's something that you definitely need to figure out soon, because it's going to be a very expensive fuck up if this is your way of responding to these situations. You know, Honor Club is not very old. It's only a couple months old now at this point, and I know you. I mean, you were here with me and Miss Wrestling 6. We were trying to watch it, and we'll talk about the NXT show a little bit later here. But when it came down to NXT and Supercard of Honor, we were all in agreement that it was Supercard of Honor first. That was the show that we wanted to see. And really, it came, as well, with all the wrestling that was happening throughout the weekend, when it came to Saturday night, it was for every single wrestling fan that was watching wrestling, it was between NXT TakeOver, New Orleans, or Supercard of Honor. And when you have a website that is not working, you lose the battle. You completely lose the battle. And that right there was the most intriguing one, was they're going head to head. Like, who's going to win this one. Now that you have your own streaming service too, so you're the same price. Even if you just pay the $9.99, you get it for free.
Yeah, you're still getting it.
So it's the same price. It's not like you have to pay more for it. And it was really going to be interesting to see who was going to win that battle. And WWE wins by a landslide because there was no competition. You know, you had a very I know there's a very few amount of people that did get through before we did, and that's great. I'm glad they got to watch it, but that's not even close to being enough to fix or to compete with something like NXT Takeover. And it's so unfortunate because this was a golden opportunity for them to put their product head to head with WWE product. And I don't care what you have to say. Well, it's NXT. It's not as big. Shut up, it is. And they failed. They completely fell on their face, and it sucks because I was rooting for them. I was totally rooting for them. As far as me as a customer, I was pissed off to no end because I pay all this money to I'm one of those that pre-ordered for the whole year. So I threw down quite a bit of dough for this. For everything, and this is not the first time this has happened in their short existence. And now here we are. I have to worry every single time there's a pay-per-view that I can see, because I won't be able to see them all live. But now I have to worry about it. And am I even going to be able to watch it? So the $40 doesn't fix it for me because I can get some cool merchandise, which I fully intend on doing. You know, it's $43 for $43. But am I going to get what I actually paid for at some point? Is my concern. So you lost the Saturday night battle, the April 7th battle with NXT, and then you lost the peace of mind of your fans, of your customers, because now they have to worry if they're going to be able to enjoy your product when they want to enjoy it. That's what it's supposed to be about. If you're going to offer it live, then it needs to work live. If you're just going to be a streaming service where we're going to put it on after the fact, then fine, you need to sell it as that. But don't sell me something that's live and it have not worked. I can walk away saying I'll give them a little more time. With that being said, I'm an IT major. That's what I go to school for. I'm not an expert because I'm still a student, but when it comes to IT, and we see it all the time, unfortunately, don't release something that isn't ready to go live.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like they're not ready to go live. You're going to give this thing away to everybody, and then your servers blow up. Whether it be a bug or not, your servers weren't able to handle it, is what it came down to. It's plain and simple. Like, don't give me this bug bull crap. It's because we saw it with WWE. I don't know if you remember WrestleMania 30. That was one of the worst experiences of my life because I could barely watch it because I actually had to watch it on a 1 hour delay. It was the only way I can get it to go. And that was their first major pay-per-view. That was their first pay-per-view. So I can walk away from this saying, hey, you know what? Maybe they'll get it right eventually. But you better get it right. I mean, you already got me for the year, but doesn't mean I'll stick around after that if you don't figure it out by then.
That's true. It's very, very true.
And I'm a loyal Ring of Honor fan.
He must have sat here for like the first 40 minutes trying to get it back up and running on our end just to see something. And after that, it was like, screw it. We're just gonna sit and enjoy NXT, which hell of a card.
Wasn't hard to do.
Yeah, it wasn't hard to do. It was a hell of a card. Congratulations to Adam Cole on his win of the inaugural North American Championship.
Congratulations, baby.
Last night, I made history. Adam Cole won a 6-man ladder match to become the first ever NXT North American champion. Today, I defended my title for the very first time against Akira Tozawa, and I walked out a winner. Battered, beaten, and bruised, I walked out a winner. Because Adam Cole at 75% is better than this entire roster at 100%. I have a promise for each and everybody in NXT, no, in all of WWE. This championship right here will be the most important championship in all of WWE. Why? Because this man holds it. They say the championship makes the man. Well, I say the man makes the championship. And I will continue, Undisputed Era will continue to run this place. And that's not a threat. That's not a promise. That is undisputed.
That was a hell of a match.
Oh my God! There was so many times where I thought someone was gonna die. in that match.
And also, congratulations to him for regaining the retaining the tag team titles, the NXT tag titles. That's got to be a piece of history there in the way of titles for that company. I don't think anyone, obviously, so far, no one else has done that, especially on the same night.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever competed in a ladder match and then like less than an hour later competes again.
I mean, he's got to. Oh yeah, I mean he did that part, but as far as retaining those tag titles, he can thank Roderick Strong for that one.
Roderick Strong has made a decision. When the Undisputed Era came to NXT, they gave Roderick Strong the chance to team with them. Well, now, fellas, it looks like he's taken it.
Well, Strong, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly have a shared history. Roderick Strong making dubious history tonight. O'Reilly and Cole had no idea that this has happened. They can't believe what they've just seen. They're as shocked as the rest of us. Talk about a shock to the system. Wow. Roderick Strong has joined the Undisputed Era.
I cannot believe what I have just seen.
Roderick Strong has always desired to be a champion in NXT. Well, he's now affiliated with a championship faction in the Undisputed Era. I can't believe what went down in New Orleans tonight. Roderick Strong joins the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, that blew my mind when Roddy joined the Undisputed Era, because I didn't see that coming at all.
No, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I know I didn't, and you know, here we are. We're seasoned wrestling fans, so they pulled it off. They pulled it off pretty immaculately. It was great. It was great to watch.
Yeah, that's one of those times where you just it made you feel like, I don't know, it made me feel young again, where it's like, man, I didn't see that coming. You know, there was no dirt sheet that spoiled it. Like, hey, Roddy might be joining the Undisputed Era. At least not one that I saw.
Yeah.
So, and I try to stay away from it as much as possible, but it's so hard.
It is very hard.
You know, I praise the internet, but I also have to like hate on it, because it's also a way to spoil so many things. But yeah, going back to that ladder match, you know, we talked about it during our hype show. It was such a great melting pot of talent there. So many different. You got your high flyers, you got your wrestlers, you got your powerhouses, and every single one of them just meshed perfectly. The stuff that they did with those ladders, some of the bits they did was just, I cringed on so many different times. That, you know, the Killian Dane taking Adam Cole and this jumping, I believe it was Ricochet, and he doesn't even do anything to Adam Cole. Like, he just kind of like, I'm just gonna hold on to you and jump on this guy.
Yeah, what he was supposed to do was some sort of a driver onto the ladder that had Ricochet just laying there, and then, you know, that was at ringside, so he goes to do it, but he can't make the turn. He can't get Cole to turn that quickly, so he just kind of carries them, and they fall on Ricochet and break the ladder. It was still amazing.
Yeah,
it was still so amazing.
Yeah, there were so many great spots in that. Like, I think that's what's missing at WrestleMania, was when they took the ladder match out, because it was just, no matter what, as long as you pick the right guys, it doesn't matter who wins the match, really. You're gonna have those high spots that totally get the crowd going. And it's so smart, smart booking that you did it first. I mean, I know there's a part of it that has to do with Adam Cole having to compete again, but regardless of that, it's one of those things where it's like the best way you can get that crowd pumped for what's already going to be a great show. Now there's so much more pumped, and, you know, almost feeling exhausted a bit, you know, but then you're so geared up and amped up that, like, whatever match coming on next will only fail if it's complete dog crap. And in this case, you didn't have that, because you went straight into Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler. And in the rematch from NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, with Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon, it was such a good match that, and I'm so impressed with Shayna Baszler. I know she's been wrestling for quite some time, but I still look at her as an MMA fighter. Although I'm not too familiar with her work, but she still had that MMA fighting style that I noticed, and it's like so quickly she has figured out what it takes to be a professional wrestler in this business. And regardless of the call up for Ember Moon or not, I'm totally for Shayna Baszler as champion now. I think she's gonna be the ultimate heel champion down there. I don't think it's something that they've done with that title yet. As far as the NXT women's title with the ultimate women's heel. I know Sasha Banks was that for a while, but let's face facts, at that time she wasn't what Shayna Baszler is. Like, Shayna Baszler is just running through people.
Very true, very true. It is definitely a welcome change for me too. I can't wait to see, first of all, how long she holds on to the title, and who and how they decide to book these matches for her. It'll definitely bring a little more of a realism, if you will, to that sports entertainment and to that little brand. As you got the mixed martial artist background in Baszler. So yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see who they recruit in the next few months and year going on as opponents for her.
Absolutely. I think the sky's the limit for her. I think she's going to be champion for quite some time personally. The only match that we got to talk about is Aleister Black versus Andrade Cien Almas.
Congratulations, Aleister Black, winning your first NXT Heavyweight Championship.
Almas has thrown everything at Black. Vega's interrupted many times, and she tried to do it right there this time. Got it! But the Black got it! Black Mass! Champion!
Here is your winner, and the new NXT champion, Aleister Black!
Selena went to the well one too many times. It backfired, and Andrade Cien almost paid for it.
You know what? I hate to say it. I really thought Cien was going to pull it off, and they were going to keep the title on him for at least one more go. But apparently that I had that one wrong. I was pulling for Black the whole time. Like I think you and I pretty much the same kind of fan for Aleister Black.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, and it was a phenomenal match.
I had Aleister Black winning this match. Although I will admit I would love to have seen him do it again for two reasons. One, it would have been an excuse to have another phenomenal match, and two, it means he would have won the title in Chicago.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. And there's still a possibility. Still, maybe albeit small, that we might be in attendance. Maybe not. That's for another episode.
I think here you do, if they decide to keep Cien Almas in NXT as opposed to calling him up to Raw or SmackDown, I think probably he'll get another title shot. He'll get a shot to regain that title.
Yeah, I mean, the old cliche in wrestling is that you're owed a title shot when you lose a title anyway, especially in WWE. You look at Black versus Almas, and you have these two guys that have that rivalry type, like in the ring rivalry. I'm not talking about storyline here, where it can go on for so long. Very much a la Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura, or Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. I'm just talking WWE, or even NXT, I should say right now. Like, it has that feel, and that's something that's kind of been missing since those three guys I mentioned have been called up. It's the lack of rivalries. I mean, when Drew McIntyre was the NXT champion, I mean, I love him as champion, but he didn't have the rivalry that these two can have.
I think part of that too was, though, he got hurt.
Is that the best you can do?
Oh my!
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
I think that put an unabrupted halt, just stopped it right there.
And then with Almas and Gargano, it was never about Almas and Gargano. It was always about Ciampa, and it was always about I hate these angles. I really hate these angles because they did the same thing with Sami Zayn. It was always about he's not good enough to beat Almas. Come on. It's the same thing with what they did with Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville. He's not. There's no way he's gonna beat Adrian Neville. Then he beats Adrian Neville, and it's like, oh my god, let's throw a parade for him. Like, dude, he's beaten him before. Like, chill out. And I know it's WWE talk, but
you know what? I know I appreciate what they're trying to do, and that is one way to get the situation over. But there's other ways to skin that cat and be
original
and as successful, if not more, than what you have accomplished. So
yeah, I kind of hope that Almas doesn't get called up, and I have another reason for that we'll discuss a little bit later here too. But the main reason is because we need rivalries. Every wrestling show, whether you're WWE or Ring of Honor or Evolve, New Japan, you need rivalries, and this is a really good rivalry right here. Two guys that have really good chemistry in that ring, and I think this might have been their first time doing it together, but it looks like they've been doing this for a while, in that ring. So, I mean, as far as against each other. So, excellent match. This was one of my highlights of the weekend for me. And personally, I love Almas. He started off like, he's okay. I always liked his in-ring stuff, but I didn't really care for the gimmick. To me, he's definitely grown to be one of my favorite wrestlers in that company. But I'm an all-star black guy through and through. I was cheering for him all the way through for so many reasons. He right there is the if played right, and again we're talking about WWE here, so it's a big if.
Yeah.
But if played right, this guy right here is the next biggest thing that they have. Bigger than Roman Reigns, bigger than Brock Lesnar, which I shouldn't say that, but against WWE, bigger than Braun Strowman, everybody's favorite meathead.
You're gonna get these hands.
Bigger than all those guys. Again, if played right.
If played right. Absolutely.
Then you got your main event that was, speaking of Gargano and Ciampa, it was Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa, and what do they call those? Unsanctioned matches, yeah. It's unsanctioned because Johnny Gargano doesn't have a contract, technically, going into that match.
I love how the moment that got brought up, it being unsanctioned, the first thing I looked at was the referee's uniform.
Yeah.
And there's clearly an NXT logo on it. Like, come on now,
Yeah, it stood out to me because he just wasn't wearing stripes. I was like, did they change their shirts? And I remember you saying, like, no, that's just him supposed to pretty much be incognito. He's not an NXT fan or a referee. It's like, all right, well, maybe he should have wore like all black then or something, not a NXT polo.
I mean, it was all black, but he had clearly a big yellow NXT logo coming down the one side. So,
what do you think of this match?
You know what? I'm a fan of Johnny Wrestling. I'm a fan of Ciampa. I waited just like everybody else for this to come to a head, and I got what I asked for. Was I completely okay with it? I think there was a few spots where it could have been improved, but
okay.
It was still a hell of a match, and what a way to cap off that rivalry.
Yeah.
We just talked about how the NXT lacks rivalries. This is one of those. This is what they offered us, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It wasn't my favorite rivalry out of NXT. No, probably not, but it definitely kept my interest every time there was part of the angle that played out over the course of the past few months. I watched. I paid attention. So they got me. They got me to pay attention. They kept me interested and intrigued, and the way the match went down, it was a very fitting ending. Johnny Wrestling got his revenge, and he did it splendidly.
I think what hurt this rivalry is the fact that Tommaso Ciampa spent the majority of it injured, and there's nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. I think that's where this rivalry fails. For me.
That's the second injury we talked about concerning NXT over the course of the past few months.
Yeah,
I find that very interesting, as Vince McMahon is always trying to water down these anybody in his company, no matter what brand they work for, so that none of this shit happens. And look, it still happens.
I'm in danger.
Don't say that, because they're pretty much just going to be like arm wrestling at this point. Thumb wrestling.
Yeah. You can't jump more than 3 inches off of the mat.
I'm in danger.
They're basically going to be like just like Greco-Roman wrestling now. Like high school wrestling is what WWE is going to become.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, most of these guys, the way they can mat wrestle, they'd be able to get away with it to an extent. But yeah, no.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's when I unsubscribe. Speaking of Vince McMahon, we're watching Slamboree 98, and I believe this is the WCW Slamboree 98. In case you didn't know, I believe this was the year that Eric Bischoff calls out.
Yeah, he calls out. Yeah, he calls out Vince McMahon to a fight. And they play it up like, oh, he's going to show up. We fully expect him to be here. No, he's not going to be there. It's a publicity stunt. It's to get you to watch. It's to get you to buy that pay-per-view. It was fun. It worked. It worked for them. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they made money from this pay-per-view.
I remember TNA did that once too with the.
It's an old wrestling trick.
Yeah, Vince is going to show up.
You're. Yeah, I mean, in this case it was Vince, but yeah, your competition is supposed to show up. And, back when Macho Man's dad was running his promotion against Lawler's promotion in Memphis, there was always that coming from Macho Man's side of things, like, we're calling you out. You guys can't hang with us. That's why you don't want to come to our show and wrestle us, all that shit. It goes back even way before that. Yeah, just a little classic wrestling angle there, and it always pays off.
It does. I mean, I remember. I do remember this pay-per-view now, because as DDP comes out, and I think he's fighting Raven, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe this is the Bowery match.
Bowery death match, yeah. Because I remember him climbing on top of that cage to start the match. Keep in mind, I'm 8 at this point, and I was looking for Vince McMahon to come.
I bet you were. It worked.
Yeah. Hey, they sold me on it. I definitely.
Well, yeah, and it's not even an age thing, because you had grown-ass men like, is he going to show?
Yeah.
Myself included.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, maybe, you never know. There's stranger things have happened in professional wrestling.
As I was using my cheer box, I'm like, man, they got my money. They got me. So, but yeah, I do remember this in bits and pieces, but... to go back to what I was going back on the topic here, I get distracted easily, folks. That's my biggest problem. One of these days we're gonna have to release like some of the takes of me just like, I just got distracted there. Like, what's going on? I do this when I do homework. That's why it takes me all weekend to do homework, because I put a TV in front of me and I can't pay attention. The Ciampa Gargano match for me, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I was a little surprised that it got bumped to the main event. I can see why, because again, we talked about rivalries. This is really the only one that had a rivalry, minus the exception of Ember Moon and Shayna Baszler, which that's become a pretty decent rivalry that came to an abrupt ending, I'm assuming, with Ember Moon's call up to Raw, or at least to the main show. So I see, as far as storyline purposes, that this was more of the intense, heated, emotional match. With that being said, I don't think it was as good. I don't think it was the best match on the card by any means, but a very solid match altogether. I'm glad that this is one of those times where good prevails, because Johnny Gargano was kind of getting the short end of the stick on so many of these big matches where he was putting on these great performances, but then coming up short. And with him in that company, he's going to be plagued the same way that Sami Zayn's plagued, where he's always going to be that guy who's going to come up short. That's going to be his gimmick. And I'm calling that one right now, and I hope I'm wrong about that. But that's going to be his gimmick, to where it's like, oh, he can't win the big one, he can't win the big one. So I'm glad, and when it comes to a big-time rivalry, as far as NXT is concerned, that he won the big one on this one. Title or no title, it doesn't matter to me. It was it's great to see that the good workers, not that Ciampa's not a good worker, but the good workers get a piece of the pie finally. They weren't gonna give him the NXT title, and they're probably not gonna give him anything more than a tag or cruiserweight title in the WWE as far as the main roster goes. At least he can say for this major rivalry that he had, he got the main event and win it. Hopefully that means something to him, because it should. Because I hope I'm wrong, because go little guys, because I'm a little guy myself in comparison to most people out there, and it's great to see that. That's what I love about like Evolve and Ring of Honor, that size is really not a thing. It is, but it isn't. And WWE, it is. The bigger you are, the bigger push you're generally going to get. So to see guys like him get the main event and get an actual victory, it's good. It's good booking. It's good for so many reasons, and I'm just glad that he got the win.
Well, you know what else they did right with this booking was they realized that this is a rivalry and it should come to a head and it should be the main event, and they didn't put their heavyweight title match over this angle.
Yeah.
And you know what? Don't get me wrong. I am all for a heavyweight title match being of the utmost importance, but let's face it, the way they were booking this thing, the way all the hype coming up to this, you definitely had more hype going into Gargano and Ciampa than you did Black and Almas.
Yeah.
So it only made sense from that perspective that that's the way it should have been booked. That Gargano and Ciampa get the main event. That's something that the two main rosters, whoever is booking those shows, they don't get. They just don't. It's a little taxing on me right now because you had every opportunity for the AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura match to be that standalone main event. For whatever reason, for me, it wasn't as interesting as I thought it was going to be. Even watered down. I knew going into it wasn't going to be what we saw at Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago.
Yeah, no way.
There's no way.
There was no way.
But I thought it would have been a little more special, and it wasn't. And so in this case, I would have been wrong. I would have been wrong in having that as the actual main event for WrestleMania. Like I said, it's taxing because you definitely have that star power. You definitely have the opportunity to take all that build-up and that hype and put it as the main event. And then they don't, and then it falls short anyway. So it kind of came back and bit me in the ass. The other part of that situation is you have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and this is something that on and off has been pushed and pushed aside, I think, just as equally over the past year for one reason or another. Multitude of reasons at this point, and you have that go on as the main event. I gotta say, I'm definitely interested in what you have to say about the match, but really quick, I have to say it was better than I expected.
You're talking Brock versus Roman?
Brock versus Roman.
Okay.
Him as in Brock. Him and his Brock Lesnar basically pounding open Roman Reigns' head with some dastardly elbows there. I don't know if that was part of the worked out angle or he just did that to be a dick because he's done it before. So why not again? Either way, that right there definitely struck a nerve with me. Like, wow, they're not only letting this happen, but it's at that point it's like, okay, this is much more than I expected this match to be. The only problem with this is you have, now it has come to the point where you have another Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar match happening in Saudi Arabia now.
Yeah.
And it's in a cage, and like, don't get me wrong, that's kind of like an old school way to book things. Anything and everything when it comes to a rivalry should end in a cage. That's cool to me from an old school perspective, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to see these two wrestle again. I just don't.
No.
I barely wanted to see it this time, and although you guys surprised me, I hate to say it, I don't think you're going to be able to do it again. Cage or no cage. And I tell you what, even at this point, even if they have Roman win the title for sure this time, I think it's too late. I think it's too late, and it doesn't work anymore. That build up, it was supposed to be Roman Reigns' WrestleMania moment. He's the one that takes down Lesnar for good, and Lesnar leaves. And now we don't get that. We don't get that as a WrestleMania moment. It'll be in Saudi Arabia if it happens.
If it happens, yeah.
And yeah, it's being billed as the greatest Rumble ever just because they're adding 20 guys. But that, I mean, don't get me wrong, the card's pretty decent at this point, but still, I think they all that momentum they built up just went to waste.
Well, first of all, that greatest Rumble ever for me on paper is a much better card than WrestleMania, and that's just because it looks like they're putting more effort into the booking of this show in Saudi Arabia than they did WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns Was it better than I thought it was? Guess. I'm not a fan of guys, even if it was planned, of guys taking their elbow and bashing somebody open that way. I guess I'm old school, where give me a razor blade, I'll do it myself. It was. I remember you and I were watching this match, and we were just like, they gotta end it now because he's losing so much blood.
He was bleeding like a sieve.
It was bad. It was really bad. It was very uncomfortable to watch. I'm just like, man, he's gonna pass out. He's so intense right now.
Yeah, because at one point, like, if, he busts him open, and you can see it start to trickle, and then all of a sudden, it's just like he dipped himself in Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
and we're like, holy shit. And then they went and they wiped him down, they wiped it off, and it was like there was a fucking faucet on coming out of his head.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. It was a little uncomfortable to watch.
I thought he was going to pass out.
Yeah, it's cool to see that kind of physicality still exist. I hate the double standard that we have in WWE, where it's like we can't be this physical, but we're gonna be this physical when we choose to be. It's whatever. Don't let everybody be that physical. But yeah, I mean, Brock versus Roman. There's a part of me that thinks like maybe WWE thinks like they got one over on the fans because like you thought you figured it out. We were gonna just do this, and you thought we had Roman Reigns. No, it was Brock Lesnar all along. I don't know what the fuck you're thinking. Re-signing this dude. Supposedly it's a short-term deal. I hope it's no more than a few weeks so they can do that stupid Rumble greatest one ever, and then that's it. He goes home. He does his UFC match. Let him be Dana White problem. I'm tired of him being our problem. And then maybe, just maybe, that title can be restored. But speaking of which, I don't know if this is like a legit thing or like if this is a bad source or if this is just WWE's logic, but I was telling you before the show that I had read that Brock Lesnar is going to be Universal Champion for the next little under 60 days now, so he can beat CM Punk's record, which I don't have it in front of me, but I know it's for 400 days. When I first saw that, my response was, that makes no sense. CM Punk was never Universal Champion. And please don't be one of those people out there, because I've already dealt with them, that tell me that it's the same thing, because it's not.
It's not.
That title is a brand new title that has absolutely no lineage to it, the exception of 4 people, one of them being Goldberg, the other one being a Finn Balor one-day reign. It's not the same thing. We're not talking about something that's been around for decades, like the WWE Championship. That's AJ Styles' title. What Brock Lesnar has is a brand new baby title that has no lineage and really has no prestige anymore because it doesn't ever get defended regularly. So if this is a shot at CM Punk, I mean I wouldn't be surprised because as we saw with Demolition, they're all about, if we don't like you, we gotta find somebody to break your record. As if people are fucking keeping tracks of that at home. Why is that even a big deal? And then he picked the worst people to do it too, right? I mean, I know there's some New Day fans out there. They're funny, but they suck.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with keeping records like that and surpassing. None of this makes sense. This rumor, because that's what it is at this point.
Yeah, I have no way to confirm it.
Yeah, this rumor and this speculation is probably the stupidest shit I've ever heard, concerning this situation in particular. So I'm gonna squash that right now. I call super bullshit on that one.
It's been debunked.
But going back to this situation, we were talking about other speculation, and there has been some stuff out there stating that as soon as Lesnar left to the back or got to the backstage area, he kind of threw a hissy fit for one reason or another. Some people are reporting it as he was unhappy with the crowd's response to the match. Other people are saying that he was pissed off at Vince McMahon. Either way, the story supposedly ends with him having some altercation with Vince McMahon in the back near the gorilla position, and he either throws the Universal title at Vince McMahon or he throws it just in general out of frustration. either way, it seems like Shane McMahon got involved to kind of, stand in between the two. I gotta say, I don't know if he goes back there and he's unhappy with the way the crowd responded. I really don't know what he expects at this point. I mean, is he that is he that blinded by his ego that people are supposed to not chant boring and possibly throw beach balls in the audience? You're trying to entertain a crowd of 70,000 plus, and guess what? The way you're going about doing it over these past few months, no one's going to be that fucking entertained. I mean, you're not going to be able to please the vast majority of those people. Let's face it, especially after they've been sitting there for so fucking long.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier about the internet and having this giant world of wrestling at your fingertips. You look at WrestleMania, and more so than any other show that WWE puts on, is the most international audience of the year. What you have there is a combination of your traditional gullible sports entertainment fans that look at guys like Brock Lesnar as gods, and then you have a pretty equal, if not sometimes more, group of wrestling fans that are like us and want to see good wrestling. So WrestleMania has become that show where they go 5 hours now. Just the main show. We're not talking the pre-show here, but they go 5 hours. We talked on the show about Wrestle Kingdom, and that being 5+ hours. And
this past one was almost 6 hours.
And when we watched it, we had the same reaction to it where it was, well, this sucks because now it's over. Like, it was that good.
It was that good.
WrestleMania is going to go 5 hours. Their way of keeping the audience entertained isn't by wrestling. It's by having a bunch of storylines. And I'm sorry, you save your storytelling for Raw and SmackDown. WrestleMania should be match, boom, match, boom, match, boom. I'm not saying don't have a little bit of stuff here and there, but what makes Wrestle Kingdom so great, it's that it takes all of your stories that you've already told and you say, all right, here's the ending to each and every one of them. That's how you do pay-per-views. You don't do, well, we're going to tell a little bit of story here, we're going to tell a little bit of story there, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of story dust here.
Yeah, story time should be over at this
done.
point.
It's it.
Especially this year because you had 14 fucking matches to get through.
14 matches, yep.
That's a fucking stacked card, man.
And so you had 11 on the main show. So you have 5 hours to do 11 matches. That may seem like a long time.
It's not.
But it's not. It's not in the business, especially if you did, which they didn't. Some of these matches are quite a few of them are under 10 minutes. And that's another reason why they fail. Because you're not given enough time to the actual wrestling. And then, one of the longest matches that takes place is the Lesnar versus Reigns match. Then that's when reality hits. They're already tired because this is the last show. This is the last match. It's past 10 o'clock over there now. And two, it's one of your shittiest matches on the card. It was better than I thought it was because they beat the shit out of each other in some areas, but it wasn't like they did enough to where it was so much back and forth. I mean, there was like a good 3 minutes or more where it was just Lesnar picking up Reigns to F5 him for the 20th fucking time. So it was, you have those fans that are like you and I, where it's like, dude, this is go. This is not good. This is not good at all. And you're probably already disappointed by that AJ Styles Nakamura match. How lame that was for the most part. It was okay, but it was like, this is our dessert. What if you're Brock Lesnar? Your ego. I mean, yeah, you should. First of all, you're Brock Lesnar. It's not like you actually care because you're already getting paid for it. I don't know. Maybe his issue is that there's so much mixed reaction when he comes out because he does get a huge pop for some reason, and there's a ton of Suplex City chants. So I don't know. Maybe he thought that they actually like him. I don't know. It's hard. I'm with him though in that sense because I don't know how to read WWE fans half the time.
Well, you know what? Going back and looking at exactly how they booked this show, I could tell you problem number one with this. In between your two main event matches, they sandwich in the Raw Tag Team Championship match, where you have the Bar going against Braun Strowman and a mystery partner, which ends up being one of the referee's kids. Nicholas
Cone. He's the referee is, I just had it here, John Cone. I'm not too familiar. I only know two referee names.
Yeah, so you have John Cone's son get picked by Braun Strowman in this match to be his partner to possibly win at that point, the Raw Tag Team titles, in which they do. But you have that match sandwiched in between your two main events. Horrible fucking booking.
Yeah, it's terrible booking.
Terrible booking. This match, no matter the outcome, you shouldn't have it this deep in your card. There's just no way. So that right there, you're killing all that momentum. You're taking whatever momentum was being held in right after the Styles and Nakamura match. That all goes to shit because everybody's getting their popcorn match now. Go use the bathroom. Go buy some popcorn. Do what you got to do. Come back and then get yourself ready for Lesnar and Reigns. Fuck that. You're this deep in the card. You should have had probably 2 popcorn matches before your 2 main events.
Let's compare it to Wrestle Kingdom, because I've said it, and I'm on record saying this, and I haven't been proven wrong yet. Wrestle Kingdom is going to be the best show of 2018. I said that in 2017, okay? So
yeah, we're in April, folks.
I'm still waiting. This is how they do their last 3 matches. So they did Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jay White for the Intercontinental title. Really good match. And then they said, okay, this is how we're going to end the show. We're going to do Omega versus Jericho. They're going to tear the house down. Just when you thought you had enough, you're tired from that match. We're going to go to the main event. That wasn't the main event. We're going to go Naito versus Okada. And it was boom, boom, boom. It was one of those things where it's like, if you're watching live, you call somebody else to come get you your popcorn, because I ain't leaving this TV. That's how you book.
That's how you book, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? If you by this point have been listening to this podcast and already don't at least have a free trial of New Japan Pro Wrestling World, please go take the time, support the show, do us both a favor, so that you can sit here and listen to us bitch and actually see what we're talking about, because we know what we're talking about. Yeah. 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. Go sign up. It's roughly $8 or $9 a month in US money.
It's about $9.
It's about $9. Yeah. It is well worth your $9, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man, without a doubt. And that they said that's again, and I compare it to Wrestle Kingdom because Wrestle Kingdom, for all intents and purposes, is the WrestleMania of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that's how you end your show. You don't go AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, and then you go Braun Strowman and some 10-year-old kid versus The Bar in a tag match that lasted 4 minutes, and then go Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. And that has nothing to do with how I feel about Brock versus Roman. If that's your main event, then build it as your main event. But don't give me some. This is not what they used to do for the women's matches before women's wrestling is what it is today. And it was just like, here's a little bit of downtime. No. You do downtime in the pre-show. You do downtime at the very beginning if you have to. You don't do it the last hour of your show. You just don't do that. You don't take my attention away from it. Make me start giggling. Hey, look at this lame kid. Thinks he's gonna fight against the Bar. That whole thing is stupid as is. If you put it, let's say, in the beginning of the show or in the pre-show, that's where it belongs. I'm definitely more fine with it. I'm still not okay with the Bar jobbing to a 10-year-old kid. I mean, I know technically it was a handicap match pretty much, but I'm not okay with the Bar jobbing in that sense, especially at WrestleMania when they've been busting their asses all year and one of the best tag teams in WWE. For what we're talking about here, it's one of those things where this is another reason why they chant boring. You suck the life right out of that crowd. Why should they care anymore?
Exactly. You know what? This is just like going to the movies, folks. If you go to the movies and you pace it like this year's WrestleMania, essentially towards the end of the movie, like the last 45 minutes of your movie, at least 35 of it is basically going to suck intentionally so that you get up and go get more popcorn and something to drink and maybe take a piss or two and then come back, so that last 15 plus minutes is supposed to be the best part of the movie. I don't know the last time you went to the movies, Matt, but last time I went was a couple days ago. Me, my daughter, and my wife went to go see Ready Player One. Excellent movie. Kept me in my seat the entire time. I did not want to get up and go pee or what have you, go get popcorn. I was intrigued the entire time. That's how the pacing should be with any event, whether it be you're watching a movie or you're watching guys wrestle, there should be no fucking pee time. No, there should be no popcorn match this late in the fucking card.
No. I mean, it's like that with anything. It's whether you're reading a book or playing a video game. Like there should be no downtime at that point anymore. It should be climax, end. That's I mean, that's how I, when I've done enough creative writing, that's how I do my creative writing.
This is starting to like every time we go through a WWE card now, it's kind of akin to like the stock market.
Yeah.
There's just unexpected dives, unexpected downtrends, I mean,
it's look. I mean, let's look at it here. I mean, that tag match gets they get the second to last match of the night when it could be on the pre-show, and you could easily switch that with like Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali for the Cruiserweight title. I'm not saying put that sandwich in between.
I would have put the Braun Strowman match in the pre-show and put the Cruiserweight tag match or the Cruiserweight title match back on the main show.
Oh yeah, without doubt.
You already have the streaming service set up. So if you already don't have the streaming service and you're going to get it, you're at least signing up for your free 30 days. So you already have WrestleMania for free. So how many fucking people are actually going to sit and watch the pre-show?
Yeah.
So why would you want to put why wouldn't you want to put anything but popcorn matches on there? Because essentially that's what they are.
Yeah.
There's enough action to keep you vaguely interested until you get the meat, the main course. That's the way it should pace out. And again, if you don't know what we're talking about and you are curious, you can go get your free trial of the WWE Network over at 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network. That's all one word. But yeah, you don't pace it this way, folks. This is just bad booking.
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating for me to watch that. What else stood out for you for WrestleMania? Anything else?
You know what? I was really excited at the Charlotte Flair versus Asuka match. It sucked. Don't get me wrong. I know you're not the biggest fan of streaks. Neither am I at this point. But
yeah,
it was part of the build-up to this.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, it was a small part because, let's face it, I just wanted Asuka to win a title.
Yeah.
That was more important to me. So she lost. Her streak is over. I'm glad that's out of the way because now there should be nothing stopping her from winning a title.
Yeah.
I think a rubber match is needed. Or I'm sorry, not a rubber match. A return match.
Yeah.
I think a return match is needed between Charlotte and Asuka.
Yeah.
And I hope it happens. And I'm not going to say I want it to happen quickly, but I'd say within the next 2 pay-per-views.
Sure.
Hopefully the second one, not the first. But yeah, that was definitely one match on my radar that I was all for watching, and I did enjoy. I mean, I didn't necessarily like the outcome, but I did enjoy it.
I was surprised by the outcome.
We all thought it was a shoo-in. Like Asuka was going to win.
Asuka was going to win. I always like to be surprised when it comes to wrestling. You're right. I'm not a fan of streaks. I just think it gets in the way. And you covered all that. When it came to Asuka versus Charlotte, just 2 things. My only gripe about the movie. We're talking about movies here. My only gripe about the match was that it only lasted a little over 13 minutes. Again, this is one of those matches that could have been 20, 30 minutes if you let them go. Unfortunately, they didn't, but, for what they were given time-wise, it was a really solid match. And I hope I get to see these two in a match again soon enough. I agree with you within 2 pay-per-views. Though I have a prediction here, I don't think we're going to see that. Ladies and gentlemen, by the time that you listen to this, it'll already have taken place. But there is a superstar shakeup, if you will, happening. From this recording, this coming Monday and Tuesday, it'll already have taken place. So I'm saying it here now that Charlotte's getting moved to Raw. I don't know if you know this, but she's no longer the SmackDown Women's Champion. That was cashed in by Carmella on Tuesday.
Title aside, it doesn't matter. For me right now, the title doesn't matter. I just want them to have a rematch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. My point is I don't think they're gonna. My prediction is they won't have it anytime soon. They're gonna hold off on Charlotte versus Asuka because one of the 2 are probably going to get moved to the other show.
That seems reasonable.
And I hate to be the bearer of bad predictions here, and I hope I'm wrong on that, But I can see that's my thing is that they probably won't happen because that's to them this is a money match, and it is. To me, if you have money matches, you shouldn't wait forever to do them. Again, that's a prediction, and that could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong because I agree with you. I want to see it sooner than later. For me, what really threw me off more so than the Charlotte breaking the streak was the fact that she made her tap. Now, I don't know how you guys feel out there, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this. To me, having somebody tap out means more than pinning them 1, 2, 3. And the reason why I say that, and maybe this is the MMA fan in me, I grew up watching old school UFC, that when you make, and this is like the Hoist Gracie fan in me, when you make somebody tap out, it's them saying, I give up. I can't do this anymore. Instead of putting them in a predicament where they can't answer a 3 count, which is a big deal. To have somebody on their own merits say, I can't do it anymore. I give up. To me, that speaks more way. So it's just a higher volume than a pinfall. And I was surprised that their first loss in WWE was a tap out. I found that very interesting for me. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I do. Especially to the champion.
Yeah.
I mean, because, don't get me wrong. Like, they make a big deal about Charlotte's, figure 8. I get that. But it isn't something that she necessarily uses all the time to win matches. So, yeah, it did. It definitely sticks out. You're at WrestleMania. You lose to her via tap out, and it's your first loss. Yeah, big deal.
Yeah. Overall, it still stood out to me as one of the top matches. Another one that stood out to me, the match itself was, it was okay. It's disappointing here as I'm looking at the time of all these matches. It's the longest match on here. The mixed tag match with Angle and Rousey versus H and Stephanie. The only thing I really want to say is that I have a little more hope for Ronda Rousey as a professional wrestler.
I'll tell you what. Leading up to this episode, we've poked fun at Rousey because she was super awkward. If you don't know what we're talking about, go revisit one of our previous episodes. Episode 2 for sure. But yeah, the oversized Rowdy Piper coat aside, let's face it, leading up to this appearance, it's been choppy at best.
Yeah.
And that you and I both had our gripes with her. Either she wasn't getting it quick enough in the ring, or her mic skills were subpar. And I'm not asking her to be, fucking super polished. Yeah. In this small amount of time, but she should have come across a little more ahead of the curve than she did leading up to WrestleMania. And then WrestleMania happens, and I was pleasantly surprised. I really didn't think she was going to pull all this off, and she did, and it was great. Probably one of the more entertaining spots out of the entire fucking WrestleMania here. And let me tell you, going into it, I didn't think that was going to be the case.
Yeah, I looked at this match, and I know I was very vocal on this match. And saying if you were a fan of this match going into this match, you were not a friend of mine, is what I was saying. And I don't feel that way anymore. I was proven wrong for sure. Ronda Rousey, she took her MMA background, her MMA and her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, and took all that and combined it with very good spot wrestling. Was there some botchiness to it? Of course. And I expected that. Even if I was anticipating her to be great, I still expected that.
Well, yeah, because you still have Stephanie McMahon in the ring. Yeah. Who also, she's not even a part-time wrestler.
See, and that was my biggest gripe about this match, where you already have somebody who's never wrestled a match before. And when I say wrestle match, I'm not talking about, inside of a NXT ring with no crowd. With a bunch of trainers guiding you along the way. I'm talking in front of a live audience, and you're going to do it at WrestleMania. And we've seen celebrity matches, and they never go well. They're always shit matches. So here I am thinking, here you go, another shit match. And supposedly that wasn't their intention. So their legit opponent for her is Stephanie McMahon. Of all the people, there was nobody else available. You have some of the highest paid, you have probably the highest paid writers in the business. You can come up with something better than Stephanie McMahon. Oh, because it's Stephanie versus Stephanie and Triple H versus Ronda Rousey. The authority. Screw all that. You put somebody in there who is fresh, who is new to the game. You got to put her in somebody in there that's experienced, because what if it doesn't go well?
Oh, I get it, the game, because it's just... No. Yeah, no, you're right. What if it doesn't go well?
What if it doesn't go well? What if Ronda Rousey completely bombs out there?
Well, then it'd be another fucking popcorn match, and we're lucky it didn't get stuck in between the quote-unquote main events.
Yeah, I was surprised it was number 7 out of 14 on here. It was a pleasant surprise that she was good. Triple H, how can he be good at this point when he's fighting against Kurt Angle, who should not be in this match? And I love Kurt Angle, but God, it was scary to see him in that ring.
It is scary every time he steps in the ring, and even the smallest bump he takes, it's just like, oh my God, he's gonna die.
Yeah, he's gonna get up from that. It wasn't good. So Triple H couldn't have a good WrestleMania match in that sense. And Stephanie McMahon, she did the job, I guess. It wasn't great, wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
She didn't completely suck.
She didn't completely suck.
Yeah, that's really all about you can say about
there's
that
a
match.
Triple H joke in there somewhere. I'm not going that way.
Speaking of Triple H, though, I have a request, and Game, I hope you listen to the show. That'd be really cool. Please, for the love of God, come up with something new. If you're going to compete next year at WrestleMania 35, I don't want to see this lame-ass, I'm the authority versus some babyface guy. Like, can you do something different? Because you've been doing this fucking angle for, the past 5 years. And I used to think, you were really good at telling stories, and apparently you're just really good at rereading the same story over and over again. We're not your children. We don't want to hear the same story every single night. Give me something new.
It's like a fucking little golden book now, isn't it?
It's the same thing. Enough's enough. John Cena versus Undertaker. What do you think of that?
Well, we going into this episode, we talked about all the speculation about how Undertaker wasn't going to give him the time of day, and then when he did, or when he didn't, and WrestleMania started, yep, there you go. Undertaker's not going to show, and he's not going to do this. So, yeah, they kind of played it up, and then he did show, and there was an actual match, of course. And then the only thing I liked about it was that he got to bury John Cena.
Yeah.
That was fucking great. I'm all for John Cena losing. But having Undertaker come back just to kind of appease John Cena, sorry, there's better ways for The Undertaker to show up at WrestleMania and be relevant. And to me, this wasn't one of them. Because now what? Now, guess what? He's already booked for the show in Saudi Arabia, the greatest Rumble ever.
Greatest Rumble ever.
He's already booked, and initially it was going to be against Rusev in a casket match. For whatever reason, the Undertaker's wife, Michelle McCool, took some opposition against Rusev's words in a TMZ interview of all places.
Fuck her.
And coincidentally, and I say it that way because right after, not only was he out of the match, but Rusev also took down any linkage on his social media to WWE social media. He's super pissed, and I guess I would be too. I mean, because this was going to be like a career match for him.
Yeah.
At this point, and now what? I guess he's not even on the fucking show at this point. I mean, I'm sure that could change in the next couple weeks, but I don't think he's wrestling anybody now. He's just out. They replaced him with Chris Jericho, which, okay, cool.
It's random.
It's very random. Yeah. Chris Jericho versus Undertaker in a casket match. Do I want to see that? Not necessarily. Is it going to be good? It might.
Probably not.
I mean, we still, I don't think we still have seen the extent of the Taker's new hip and what he can do. I mean, he looked pretty good at Mania for what it was, but that remains to be seen. Time will only tell with that. But this whole John Cena calling out the Undertaker just to get him to WrestleMania, horseshit, fucking horseshit.
I remember I was surfing social media a little bit during this match, or right around the time this match was about to take place, and Undertaker came out. So many people were saying greatest Rumble ever because it's the Undertaker, and I was like, man, you guys are so easy. You guys are so easy because I don't know. And I looked at it, and this is gonna sound like a bad pun, but I just saw a dead man,
He moved like one too.
And I just saw a guy that didn't want to be there, and I don't blame him. I don't know the extent of the conversation. I'm not the fly on the wall, and I don't have those kind of connections yet. That I can say, oh, this is how it went down. But it just seems like every year now, Undertaker's just his eyes just look like, fuck, I gotta do this. And he's only working one day a year, but it's just like it's almost like, please don't call me. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know if it's like a fucking scene from Baby Driver where he has to do this. Like there's some kind of you're done when I say you're done, kind of thing. I don't know what's going on there, but it doesn't make any sense. You build up this match that was never officially built up. If that makes any sense, and it only lasts 2 minutes and 45 seconds, which is the best part of the match. And it was so stupid. It was a stupid moment that you have a guy that didn't want to be there. You had John Cena that could be doing anything else, and he has to have this Undertaker match that's completely pointless because it wasn't a real match. It was a job. It was a squash match.
It was.
Which is, was great. Like you said, I agree. Anytime John Cena can get buried, sign me up. I'll watch it, I guess. But the Undertaker I love the Undertaker. And you know what? I will say this. For those people in New Orleans, I can agree with you in the sense that, this is a great WrestleMania because I got to see the Undertaker. If you've never got a chance to see the Undertaker live, I do pity you because that is an experience. And quick story here. I remember I only got to see the Undertaker wrestle once live. That was at Night of Champions, I want to say 2010. And he wrestled Kane for the World Heavyweight title that night. And I remember I'm there with my girlfriend at the time. She's not my wife. Mr. Wrestling 6 and my youngest sister, who became a wrestling fan because of me. It was her first time seeing The Undertaker too. And having him, when he came out, there was a guy who was a little bit taller than her that was standing right in front of her. So I grabbed her and put her in front of me so she can see better. And our arms touched. And her arm was it was covered in goosebumps. And it was one of the coolest moments for me as her big brother and as a wrestling fan. Because that's the type of feelings that the Undertaker, just him walking out of that ring, brings to people. Because my hair were standing up too. And it was a cool moment. So if you got to see it, whether you saw it many times or not, or it was your first time, for the people in New Orleans to see that, awesome. Awesome for you guys. For me, watching it in my home here in Chicago, I got to see his eyes more, and I just saw a guy that didn't want to be there. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's what I saw.
It reminds me of that old story of when the Macho Man was an announcer. He was doing his announcing gig for the WWF. He would like inevitably be called back to the ring, like, hey, something happened with this guy, or we need someone to fill in. Can you do it? The story gets passed around, and Macho always comes back more or less saying the same thing, like, you're calling me back, like I'm the old guy and you're calling me back when you shouldn't have to. I kind of feel that this is the same way that probably the Undertaker probably feels.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not him and I'm not in his head, but use some common sense, folks. So what? You're working one day a year, but he's made his money. He should be able to, pun intended, rest in peace.
Yeah.
He should be able to be at home with his wife and his kid.
Yeah.
And do that.
Just be Mark.
Just be Mark, yes. Yeah. And here it's like, fuck, I gotta get up and do this one more time.
Yeah.
And, possibly fucking re-injure myself. He's getting up, he's not the spry young chicken he once was. Did you see him walk across the top rope?
Yeah.
He almost fucking fell that last bit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
he didn't go that far either.
He didn't go that far either. And
yeah.
Asking him to do that shit, months after a fucking hip surgery, like, you're asking for fucking trouble.
Yeah, just for what? Because it's WrestleMania and he's synonymous with WrestleMania.
Because John Cena don't have shit else better to do.
Put him in a fucking Battle Royal or something. Why couldn't John Cena be Ronda Rousey's tag team partner? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yeah. That way we don't have to worry about Kurt Angle getting hurt either.
Undertaker doesn't have to do anything. Kurt Angle can just be in a suit.
Again, you still had the opportunity to have both of them show up and do different shit that didn't involve matches, and it still would have been great.
Yeah,
it still would have made for a WrestleMania moment.
I don't need to see him do it anymore. And Undertaker's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. He's one of those guys that kept me watching wrestling for so many years because he was around. You know, for you, it was the early 90s. For me, it was the early 2000s, right? Especially right after WCW was bought by WWE, and WWE just completely just went downhill. It was The Undertaker that was a huge part of that kept me around and kept me watching. He's such an important part of my wrestling experience as well as many, and that's why people get excited to see him. If he doesn't show up for WrestleMania 35, will he be missed? Of course he will. But will it affect the show? Of course not.
It shouldn't. I mean, fuck, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you know, you're getting your workers over and things like that, then yeah, you should have that's the ultimate goal there, is for him to be able to go and retire and be at peace with the rest of his life, and for them to put on a show where, yeah, granted he's not there, but have it be fascinating enough to where you don't fucking realize it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, at some point you have to let that character go.
Speaking of letting characters go, all this pee talk, I gotta go take a whiz. So we're gonna pause for the cause and pay some bills. Now's your popcorn match, folks. Get up, have some popcorn, take a piss. We'll be right back.
This edition of the 20x20 Ring Crew has been brought to you by Amazon. Get your Amazon Prime subscription today. You get unlimited music, unlimited ebooks, unlimited movies and TV shows available through their Amazon Prime subscription, as well as free 2-day shipping on many products through Amazon.com, as well as in certain areas, 1-day shipping. So if you're an impatient person like me, you can get 1-day shipping. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, don't forget the unlimited photo storage, too. I think that's pretty.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't have anything on my photo storage as of yet, at least nothing I could share with the public, but
ooh.
It's photos of me and Kenny Omega. Are you jealous?
I don't even want to talk about it. Tell them where to go. That's all I got to say.
You can find more information on Amazon Prime subscriptions through us, and by doing so, you'll help us here at the show. You don't have to pay anything extra. You sign up for Amazon Prime through us. You get 30 days to try out Amazon Prime. You can cancel anytime. We still get the love from Amazon. Go ahead and check us out at 20x20crew.com/podcast/Amazon. And we're back, folks. Thanks for letting me
feel better?
Yeah, I do feel better. My eyes aren't swimming anymore. Hopefully we paid some more bills, and again, we always thank you for hanging in there, listening to us just about every week. We did take a week off, so we were super busy. And speaking of super, there's one thing before we finish with WrestleMania. There's definitely one super moment for me.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan coming back. He got his own episode the last time we actually, our last episode. He got his own episode. First of all, thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
Second of all, sorry that you're stuck in this fucking company and not elsewhere. Hopefully that changes in September.
Yeah. If it comes September, if he's still in his company, that's his choice.
It is his choice. You're absolutely right. I know he's got a family to think about and all that,
sure.
but damn it, man, I can dream, can't I?
Yeah.
Him coming back, you have him and Shane McMahon going against Owens and Zayn. Again, I was it cool to see him back in the ring? Of course it was. Under these circumstances, for me, nah, it had its own feel, and for me, it definitely wasn't a popcorn match, but
no. Yeah.
At the same time, I really do wish bigger and better things for him. And they already signed him up to be on the Greatest Rumble ever.
Did they now?
Yeah. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's part of the Rumble.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
I mean, you gotta get 50 guys.
Yeah, but
fill it up.
But shit, man. I mean, again, it's just like, here you go. We talked about this on episode 8.
Yeah.
He's like it or not, he's only got so many matches in him. And so what? You're gonna waste? Okay, WrestleMania, fine, it's WrestleMania, but now he's just gonna be in a 50-man fucking Rumble just because they need a fucking body?
That's
no,
true.
man, that's not the way to do it. That's not.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him wasting the matches. Again, I don't know. I'm not his doctor, but I did compare it to an Eddie Murphy movie where
1,000 words.
1,000 words. There you go. So He obviously doesn't have 1,000 matches left. That's a lot of matches. He's got to be on limited time, borrowed time at this point. And you have to be careful with how you book him because you don't want his legacy to be a bunch of just ridiculously scripted story matches. And which, in this case, as far as WrestleMania is concerned, that's exactly what it was. It was Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, Owens, Zayn. Stipulations were set. If Bryan and McMahon win, then Owens and Zayn remain fired. If Owens and Zayn win, they get their jobs back. It's a really bad gimmick match right here. It was okay. The match was okay. I guess I looked at it, it was like it was good. And I had to watch it. I actually watched it a second time because I was blinded. I was blinded by the fact that Daniel Bryan was back. And, as we talked about in the Daniel Bryan episode, just how big of a deal that is for both of us. Huge Daniel Bryan marks you're listening to right now. So to have him back, it was great because here's somebody that came back from a career-threatening injury, a potentially life-threatening injury. And technically still is.
Yeah.
To have him back was great. The match itself was pretty subpar. It was a little disappointing because 3 out of 4 of those guys are really good wrestlers, and Shane McMahon is not bad in his own right in some areas. I mean, he's not a great wrestler, but he's
better than his sister.
Yeah, we talk about the Young Bucks. People talk about the Young Bucks as spot monkeys. They're not. Shane McMahon's a spot monkey. That's what he is.
Yeah, that's a spot monkey for sure.
Yeah, that right there is what you would call a spot monkey. And so you got 3 wrestlers and a spot monkey. So it should have been a better match, and it wasn't. I guess the only thing I could take out of it was just cool to see Daniel Bryan back. The same building in which he won the world title 4 years ago. I mean, it was, who'd have think after all these years, he'd be back doing it again. The circumstances being ideal or not, it was just good to see him back. And I agree with what you're saying about the Greatest Rumble match or whatever it's called. It makes sense to me to put him in there, why they're putting him in there. I don't necessarily I wouldn't have necessarily booked him in that match myself. This is WWE that we're talking about, so it was okay. It was an okay match. This is good to see him back, and hopefully he gets more serious in-ring work sooner than later.
Agreed.
But, go looking at the rest of the Rumble card, I do want to point out the very awkward, and this is a little mature rated here, but the very awkward boner that John Cena got when he got pinned, that was really weird for me. I don't know if I didn't catch it live.
No, I didn't catch it live either because I try not to stare at John Cena. But it is out there on the internet. This picture keeps floating around. There's multiple pictures actually, but yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that. I mean, does it kind of look like he just has like that bunched up, jean crotch that
could happen.
Yeah. It could have been, but it also does look like he's genuinely excited that the Undertaker's on top of him. Maybe that's his thing. Maybe he gets off by people beating him that way. It's like, here, come on, give me the squash match treatment.
He likes to be dominated.
He likes to be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his bag is and whether or not he had a stiffy, but it sure as hell looked like it. So
yeah. Real quick too, the Fatal 4-Way didn't do a whole lot for me. It was really cool to see the New Day, the Usos finally get a WrestleMania match. Unfortunately, it was just a little under 6 minutes. Those whether you like them or not, they put in work for sure.
They do. They put in work,
and it was good to see them get it. They didn't win the match. They lost their titles in under 6 minutes. The triple threat match for the IC belt, it was good for my opinion. I didn't hate it. It was pretty solid in-ring work by. I'll give Miz credit. He was pretty good in that match too. It was a good way to start off the main show. I think. I really don't have much gripes about that. I'm a Seth Rollins fan personally. I'm glad to see him become a Grand Slam champion. Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. I said it during our hype show. I'm not a fan of Nia Jax. She still needs work for me. And
well, it didn't help too that this match was originally on the pre-show.
Yeah.
And somehow got traded for the Cruiserweight title match.
Yeah.
So the Cruiserweight title match got moved to the pre-show. Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss get moved not only to the main show, but damn near close to the main event.
Yeah, like the final hour.
So
I mean, is this more whining by Nia Jax? Did she call up Cousin Rock and say, hey, they're screwing me again? You know, I mean, what is it?
I hope that's not the case, but if it is, that's pretty fucking shitty.
You know, I don't like when crybabies like Nia Jax get their way. I don't like it. Look, and I get called fat shaming because she's a girl and people are more sensitive this way. I'm not calling her fat. I'm calling it what it is. She gets what she gets before she was in the situation she was in because she's bigger than all the other girls. The same reason Braun Strowman gets everything he gets because he's bigger than everybody else. He's stronger than everybody else. And that's the reason why she gets to be this entity. But the problem with those entities is that they have to realize fast that they generally don't win championships. It doesn't happen. So when she was getting all these big matches and then losing, she had a problem with it. Well, that doesn't make any sense. It does make sense because you suck. Like, get better in the ring.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it comes down to.
It has nothing to do with her weight. It has nothing to do that she's a woman. It has everything to do with her in-ring work.
Yeah, you have so much more work to do. Your character's weak. Your in-ring ability it's improving. I'm sorry, but you're still well, I wouldn't want to say NXT because NXT is actually better than the main show, but you're still developmental. And for you to walk out on the company because you don't like to be the way you're being booked, and then miraculously get a WrestleMania championship match, something's fishy here. Something's definitely fishy here, and maybe Nia Jax doesn't become a champion if she's not an Anoa'i. Because she's an Anoa'i, I think this is the reason why she's in this match. Because she's an Anoa'i that Dwayne Johnson likes. This is the reason why she probably gets this match. She probably gets the WrestleMania main card, and then she probably gets the victory. It's not well deserved. You know, if people say it's a feel good story, it's anti-bullying and all that shit, whatever. That's fine. There's so many better angles you could have used for that. It's stupid. It's a stupid way to try to push somebody that is not ready for the main time, the main show.
And you know what? Now we're faced with the task of her as women's champ, right? So you're gonna have her as the Raw Women's Champion. Now we get to see. Now we get to see whether she can carry this title or not. Because guess what? The moment that she can't and they take it away from her, then what? Are we going to hear, I'm being treated unfairly because, you know, they're saying that my ratings are too low or things like that?
Yeah. What is it? Help me out, Rock.
Something's bound to come up. I agree with you on this one. I think there's something a little fishy, and again, only time will tell. It'll be interesting. The next couple months will be interesting with this one.
If I'm at all correct about my prediction about Charlotte moving to Raw, let's not forget. I mean, let's assume here that Charlotte's going to go straight for that title. It's pretty safe to assume that.
It's pretty safe to assume they're going to give it to her.
Yeah. Well, last time that Charlotte and Nia Jax got in the ring, she almost killed Charlotte twice. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I do remember that, and that's what we're talking about, folks. You can't go into the ring and be fucking half-assed and sloppy. You're gonna get someone hurt and possibly on the fucking injured list.
Yeah.
I mean, and no one wants that.
You know, you look at somebody. You know, real quick here. Great documentary. I don't know if you watched it over the week. The Andre the Giant HBO documentary.
I have not yet.
Okay. I won't. I mean, there's not really much to spoil. It's so much of his life that I'm sure you already know. The one thing that stands out that's relevant to what I'm talking about here. Again, we're talking about Nia Jax, who is bigger than. She's the biggest woman on that roster currently. That's safe to say. You want to call that fat shaming? That's fine, but those are facts. She's the biggest woman there. Therefore she's going to be treated like a giant compared to them, i.e., Andre the Giant.
Because that's what she is.
That's what she is, and that's okay. That's a thing in wrestling. It has been for many years, many decades. Andre the Giant, with his entire career, never hurt anybody, and he took pride in that. And this is a big motherfucker that if you watch this documentary, you got to hear some interesting stuff about things he did to guys he didn't like.
Oh, I know the stories.
But he never hurt them. Like, as far as injure them, I should say. He never injured them. Hurt? Yeah.
Did he shit in his singlet and then sit on Bad News Brown's chest and face? Yes, he did that.
I see. That's not on the documentary. You're hearing that here, folks. That's messed up. Oh man. But he never injured anybody.
Yeah, he never injured anybody.
And that's something that is so many wrestlers take to heart. So many wrestlers take to heart. You hear wrestlers who have hurt people.
Well, look at the Ultimate Warrior. Speaking of Andre the Giant,
Yeah.
you know, for a while there, they were programmed together, and the Warrior would come out night after night and basically fucking hurt Andre one way or another.
Yeah.
Because he was working too stiff. Andre refused to kind of stoop to that level, and he kept telling him, like, you know, one of these nights, I'm telling you, you need to knock it off. And then it happened, you know, and he you know, he didn't hurt him unintentionally. He hurt him on purpose, but it wasn't career threatening. It wasn't like that. He just basically stiff punched him. He was supposed to sell for the Warrior. He was supposed to sell a move, and he didn't. Instead, he put his fist out, and the Warrior ran into it and fucking almost got knocked out from it. You know,
pretty much, yeah, his own momentum.
And after that, the Warrior treated Andre a hell of a lot different. You know, it got him to slow his ass down. And after that, he would bring him bottles of a special French wine that Andre loved, and he would always greet him in the locker room. After that, he fucking respected what he had to say, and he fucking knew his role in the ring.
And you know, shit like that, whether I can condone it or not, that happens in the business. Yeah, even today, it still happens. Stuff like that can happen. But again, when it comes, like, I always tell the story of when Chris Benoit. Yes, we do use that name on this show, by the way. When he broke Sabu's neck, and I just remember the story of this. He just kept calling Paul, and all Paul Heyman kept saying was like, "We're gonna do this angle. You're gonna be the crippler. We're gonna do this and that." And he's like, "I don't care, Paul. Like, is Sabu okay?" Because it haunted him that he broke his neck, and it wasn't even something he did. It was just it was a botched move that really Sabu screwed up on. Yeah. but because it was Benoit in that ring, he felt so guilty and so bad because he didn't protect him in the way that he thought he should have, and that's what so many good wrestlers, male and female, take to heart, is what they do for those other people inside that ring. When you start seeing shit like that, and I'm not saying it's been a while since I've seen Nia Jax be that sloppy. If you're remotely close to that, you don't belong. You do not belong. You certainly don't belong as a champion.
You're gonna hurt somebody.
You know, as much you can be a Nia Jax all you want, but you hurt Charlotte Flair, you hurt money more than Nia Jax should ever bring to the table.
I'll tell you what, if that happens and she fucking hurts her, she might not have a job very much longer. You know, I mean, and I'm not trying to wish bad shit on her, but more than likely that's what'll happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, WrestleMania 34 in a nutshell, grade wise. You're a teacher here.
You gonna make me do this?
I'll make you do this.
I give it a C+.
C+?
Yeah, I give it a C+.
You're generous and more generous than I am. I didn't add the plus. They got a solid C. It was average. Obviously wasn't the best WrestleMania. It wasn't the worst. You and we gotta do a worst best WrestleMania show soon here.
Okay.
But because I say it's not the worst, I know some people say, well, what is the worst? You'll find out in that episode. Yeah. But overall, that's what highlighted, or that's what ended the WrestleMania week. There's so much that you and I still got to watch. I do want to give a shout out to Sumi Sakai, going back to Ring of Honor.
Yes, congratulations, Sumi.
The inaugural Women of Honor champion that was on the main show. Yes. Thank you, Ring of Honor. You did it. Even though we couldn't watch it live, it happened.
It happened.
Sumi Sakai, who was, man, you talk about putting in work. She carried that division for so long. It came down to her and the gatekeeper, Kelly Klein. Kelly Klein was the favorite. She was my favorite to win it all.
Mine too.
And I'm not disappointed at all that Sumi Sakai wins. Well deserved. She's definitely the right person to be the inaugural Women of Honor champion. So many great matches we still gotta watch here. Of course, you have the 6-man tag team ladder match. We got the Briscoes defending against Hiroshi Tanahashi and Jay Lethal in a dream match.
Yeah, definitely got to check that out.
We got to watch the ending of Silas Young, Kenny King, which was good for what we saw for the most part. Dalton Castle, he retains against Marty Scurll. Ring of Honor, we're not talking about you in detail because we didn't get to watch you. Fix your shit. That's the moral of the story here.
Yeah, fix your shit.
So much great stuff to watch. House of Hardcore again. You have the TNA, or excuse me, not TNA anymore. Ooh, I said a bad word. The Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground show. Tons of Evolve, tons of WWN stuff. It is not too late to check out any of this stuff. We talk about it here. We still have it on our website for you. Check it out. It's 20x20crew.com/podcast/WrestleMania. So all of that is for the taking for you. So it's not too late to check it out. Check it out. Enjoy wrestling. As always, support professional wrestling of all kinds.
Kaiju
included. So that will do it for this week. Again, we apologize for taking the break last week. We promise it was a well-needed rest for us.
Definitely.
We are back. Thank you for supporting this show.
Thank you.
Until next time, we will see you in the ring. This edition of the 20x20 Ring Crew has been brought to you by Amazon. Get your Amazon Prime subscription today. You get unlimited music, unlimited ebooks, unlimited movies and TV shows available through their Amazon Prime subscription, as well as free 2-day shipping on many products through Amazon.com, as well as in certain areas, 1-day shipping. So if you're an impatient person like me, you can get 1-day shipping. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, don't forget the unlimited photo storage, too. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't have anything on my photo storage as of yet, at least nothing I could share with the public. But
ooh.
It's photos of me and Kenny Omega. Are you jealous?
I don't even want to talk about it. Tell them where to go. That's all I got to say.
You can find more information on Amazon Prime subscriptions through us, and by doing so, you'll help us here at the show. You don't have to pay anything extra. You sign up for Amazon Prime through us. You get 30 days try out Amazon Prime. You can cancel anytime. We still get the love from Amazon. Go ahead and check us out at
20x20crew.com/podcast/Amazon.